Antarctica is the coldest place on Earth. Temperatures can fall below degrees C. The wind can reach hurricane force. A human caught here without the right equipment wouldn't survive for long. Yet every year, millions of penguins don't just survive. They raise their chicks, they hunt, they return to the exact same colonies year after year. So how does a bird survive somewhere that seems almost impossible to live? The answer isn't one incredible adaptation. It's a collection of survival tricks that work together like pieces of a puzzle. Let's start with the most obvious problem: the freezing cold. In the Arctic, most birds would lose body heat faster than they could replace it. Penguins don't. At first glance, it looks like they're simply covered in feathers. But when you look closer, a penguin has one of the densest feather coats in the entire animal kingdom. Those feathers trap thousands of tiny pockets of air right next to the body. That trapped air acts like insulation, slowing down the escape of precious body heat. Beneath the feathers is another layer of protection, a thick blanket of blubber that stores even more warmth. Together, these layers create an incredibly effective shield against the freezing Antarctic air. But as impressive as that sounds, the air isn't actually where penguins spend most of their lives. The real challenge begins the moment they dive into the ocean. Freezing water is far more dangerous than freezing air. It pulls heat away from your body many times faster. So if Antarctica is already deadly, the ocean should be even worse. But before a penguin goes to dive, it prepares itself. Near the base of its tail is a gland that produces a special waterproof oil. Every day, penguins spread this oil across their feathers. Instead of becoming soaked, water rolls right off the surface. That means the insulating layer of trapped air stays intact, protecting the penguin even while it swims through icy water. Combined with its blubber, that waterproof coat allows a penguin to spend hours hunting beneath the surface. Eventually, though, every hunt comes to an end. And when a penguin climbs back onto the ice, another problem appears. Imagine standing barefoot on a block of ice. Now imagine staying there for hours. Your feet would lose heat incredibly fast. A penguin's feet should do the same, but they don't. Inside each leg is one of nature's smartest heating systems. Warm blood flowing down toward the feet travels right beside the cold blood, returning to the body. As the two streams pass one another, heat transfers between them. By the time blood reaches the feet, it's already cooled, so very little heat is lost to the ice. Meanwhile, the colder blood heading back toward the body has already been warmed. Instead of constantly creating new heat, penguins recycle the heat they already have. It's an elegant system called countercurrent heat exchange. And even the way penguins move follows that same philosophy. Never waste energy. Penguins don't walk like most birds. They waddle. It looks awkward, almost clumsy, but it's actually one of the most efficient ways for their bodies to move across the ice. Their legs sit far back on their bodies, making them powerful swimmers but awkward walkers. Rather than lifting themselves with every step, they shift their weight from side to side, letting momentum carry them forward. It isn't fast, but it uses surprisingly little energy. And in Antarctica, saving energy can make the difference between surviving and starving. Still, there are times when feathers, blubber, and efficient walking simply aren't enough. Because Antarctica has one final weapon, called the wind. During powerful Antarctic storms, freezing winds strip heat away from anything standing alone. That's why penguins do something remarkable. They huddle, sometimes thousands of them. Each bird gives off a tiny amount of body heat. One penguin can't warm the Antarctic air, but thousands together create a living shelter. Inside the huddle, temperatures can become dramatically warmer than the freezing conditions outside. It almost seems unfair. The penguins in the middle stay warm. The penguins on the outside face the brutal wind. At least that's what it looks like. If the penguins on the edge stayed there forever, they probably wouldn't survive. But they never do. The entire huddle is constantly moving. Slowly, almost like a giant conveyor belt, penguins on the outside shuffle toward the center. Those resting safely in the middle eventually move back toward the edge. Every penguin takes a turn facing the cold. Every penguin gets a chance to warm up again. Without a leader, without anyone giving instructions. Thousands of birds working together through simple instinct. It's one of the greatest examples of cooperation anywhere in the natural world. And it's also the final piece of the puzzle. By now, the answer becomes clear. Penguins don't survive Antarctica because they have one superpower. They survive because every challenge has its own solution. Dense feathers trap warm air. Blubber stores heat. Waterproof feathers keep the freezing ocean out. Special blood vessels recycle warmth before it can escape. Their waddle conserves precious energy. And when nature pushes them to their limit, they rely on each other. For millions of years, these adaptations have allowed penguins to thrive in one of the harshest places on Earth. But today, the greatest threat they face isn't one they evolved to overcome. As Antarctica warms and sea ice patterns change, some penguin populations are finding it harder to reach food, harder to breed successfully, and harder to raise their chicks. The frozen world that shaped them is slowly changing. The next time you see a penguin standing quietly on the ice, remember, you're looking at one of evolution's greatest survival stories. A bird that conquered the coldest place on Earth, not with one extraordinary ability, but with countless small ones working perfectly together.